I started playing poker, Texas Hold'em specifically, since I was 21, and I was addicted to that game until I was like 35, 33, and I blew away like a ton of money. And I tried so hard to quit, to stop, but it just was nearly impossible for me to stop because I just constantly had that craving, right? That urge. It was like that itch, right? That just it wasn't so simple as just stop gambling. It just, addiction doesn't work like that, right? And that's all I ever thought about, right? When I was gambling. At one time so like there was a point in my life when I was working at an SAT prep as an SAT instructor, right? And one time I was supposed to go to work, right? It was around 4 o'clock, and that's when I start teaching my classes. That's when the students start coming in, and I was, what I was doing? Instead of like going to work, I was at a local casino and playing poker, right? And I was betting on like thousands of dollars, right? And then I couldn't stop because I was losing, right? But I think if I was winning, I maybe like it might have been easier. But either way, it's just very hard to stop. But anyways, I was losing like a lot of money, and I was on tilt. So like when they say you're on tilt, that means you are losing your cool. When someone is like playing poker or gambling, and then when you say like when they're on tilt, it means they are losing their cool, right? So yeah, I was losing my cool. I was on tilt because I was losing a lot of money, right? So I wanted to win it back, and I knew it was time for me to go to work, but I couldn't get out of my seat, right? It was almost like my butt was glued to the chair. I could not get up. So it was like 4:15, so my class was supposed to start at like, let's say like at 4, right? It was around 4:15, I get a call from my boss. I just ignore it, and then it just keeps ringing, right? And then I finally answer, and then my boss was like, "Oh, hey, Kenji teacher, where are you, right? Like, you're supposed to be here. Your students are waiting for you." And then I completely lied, right? Just with a straight face. "Oh, sorry. I didn't know I had a class today." Because, like so I was working part-time, and so there were some days I didn't have class. I didn't have class every day, right? So there were some days I was off. So yeah, I just completely lied to my boss, saying, "Oh, like I forgot," right? I didn't forget. I was just playing poker. I was just addicted to gambling, right? But just going back to that psilocybin or mushroom, like it's just so mind blowing how people like me, people like I'm an addict, right? Once an addict, I think it's forever an addict. But yeah, like people like me could actually stop having that cravings. For me, it would be stop having that cravings to go to casino and start gambling, right? It's hard to believe, but the study shows that it makes it happen. So I think that would be really nice, so I have been bet free since I was 34, 35, I think. So 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I think. And I no longer get those urges or cravings to go gamble. But that does not mean that, my gambling addiction is somehow cured or I have completely recovered. It's always lurking. I know that's always lurking in the back of my mind or back of my head, that craving or that impulse. It's always gonna be there. I know it's there, right? And when I'm at the weakest point in my life, it's going to creep back up, and it's going to whisper in my ear, oh, one game, one bet shouldn't be too bad. You're feeling bad, you're stressed out, just one bet, that's it. And that's how people, addicts, gambling addicts or whatever addicts it may be, that's how they relapse, right? Fall back into those the old habits or old addiction. And a lot of people that have struggled with addiction and then now they are on sobriety, right? They often relapse when they start to get comfortable with themselves. They start to believe that they are finally healed or cured or recovered, right? That's when I think they start to relapse again, because they get comfortable, right? They think they have no issue anymore. But I think once you have experienced that high that you used to get from alcohol addiction or drug addiction, gambling addiction, it's always gonna be there, because you have experienced that high. You know what it feels like, right? So it will feel good. You know for sure, right? All you're doing is just lying to yourself that you're cured, but you're never cured. Once you have experienced that experience, it's always going to be there. And this happened to me too, right? There was, before my 4 years sobriety, before that one, how I relapsed was when I was already sober for about, do you say sober or clean? Is that the right word for gambling addiction? I was bat free for about 2 years, over 2 years. And when I was bat free for 2 years, I didn't have urges or cravings back then, right? So I thought to myself that, I must have recovered, right? I must have recovered. I deluded myself into believing that I was now okay, right? So now all of a sudden I start to tell myself that, it's okay to go to a casino with my friends. I'm not gonna gamble. I'm just gonna watch my friends gamble, but I'm not gonna be the one gambling. I'm over it, right? I've been through addiction, and I've been now bet free for the last 2 years, so I know I'm not gonna gamble. I've been free from gambling for the last 2 years, so why would I go gamble again, right? So ironically, I was the one that actually, it was during Christmas time, right? So I was lonely. I obviously did not have a girlfriend. I was lonely. I think I came. So I went to that's when I went back to Berkeley, and I came back down. From NorCal to SoCal, right? I came back down to SoCal, and I pretty much called on my friends, right? At night during the end of year Christmas week. I called them up, and I was like, hey guys, why don't we go to casino? Why don't we go to casino to eat? Because it was really late at night. I think it was around 12 or 11. So we were like, why don't we go to casino to eat? They have some good food. They really do though. They have some good food. I treat you guys, right? And during that moment, I think what I was telling myself is that, I'm just gonna go there and just eat and just leave. Right? Oh boy, I was so dead wrong, right? So when we went there, yeah, we ate, we had some pho, and the food was good. And then immediately like, I get this really, really strong impulse, right? The urge, right? It's like, it almost like, it felt like a pending, is that impending doom, right? I feel this like really strong urge all of a sudden, right? Like this kick, and I felt it in my chest or in my belly, right? Like that really strong. It's hard to describe. It's really strong, deep desire, the urge, the craving that just awakes all of a sudden, right? I didn't know it was there. And now I think back, I think it's been just sitting there, right? Just quietly and silently, right? And also, I think it was tricking me, right, into thinking that I was over gambling. But I think it was just sitting there silently, pretending as if it was gone. But I think it was just waiting for that perfect moment to I guess be awakened, right? And I was like telling my friends, "Oh, are you guys gonna gamble?" And like one of my friends, like none of them actually, they don't really gamble, but even if they do, like they just play for fun. They never were addicted. None of them, right? But like one of my friends was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go play." I think it was blackjack. Yeah, blackjack, right, or baccarat. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch you guys play, right? That's all like. That's what I said. So we find one table and we just go there, and he takes some cash out from an ATM. I think he took out like maybe $100, right? Not too much, I guess. And it's like playing this, yeah, just minimum limit. I think it was like $5 or $10. So it was just small amount, right? And yeah, we're just like standing there. I'm just standing behind him, and it's like winning some, losing some. It's like for the next 30 minutes, like even, right? And then I start to get bored, and then I tell my friends, oh, I'm just gonna like take some cash out. I'm just gonna play for a little bit, right? And even that moment, I really believe that I'm going to play for a little bit, right? So again, this is another excuse slash belief, like self-deluded belief, right? Yeah, like we addicts do, right? How it's like we tell ourselves, oh, this is our last bet. This is our last drink, right? This is our last, I don't know, the last puff, right? If you're smoking pot or whatever, cocaine. Yeah, we really truly believe, or we try to believe that it is really true that it's going to be our last, but we all know it's not true. But it's that in that moment, I think it's the self justification and rationalization to kind of, I guess, excuse our behavior, right? But anyways, I go to walk up to the ATM. I think I took out. I only have. I remember. I think I only had $3,000 or $5,000. When I say only, because that was actually my living expenses, right, for the semester or for the next semester. That's like two still loans I took out, right? So it was like it was for my food, for my rent, it was for my school, right? So it was the money that was kept there so I could use it for school purposes, right? For my living expenses. Anyways, I think I took out like $300 or $500. I sit down at a poker table, and as soon as I sit down, I start to feel this excitement, this little like high, right? When you like sit down at a table, it just, again, like I think it's might be hard for you to understand who hasn't really gambled before, but yeah, it's just that high, like dopamine kick. Yeah, the rush of dopamine, right? You get when you sit down to gamble, right? But anyways, yeah, as soon as I sit down, the old memories start to come back, and all the old emotions start to come back again. And it wasn't complete like the 100% pleasant feelings either, because I was reminded of the times when I lost a lot of money, and I really hated myself. A lot of times I felt suicidal when I lost a lot of money, and yeah, all kinds of mixed emotions start to come up. But I just try to like push them away, right? Oh, like it's okay, like it's what happened in the past, but now it's gonna be different. Like I know I'm gonna win, right? Again, justifying, right? Rationalizing. But anyways, I sit down and I think I lose that $300 to $500 like within the next maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I haven't played in a while, and I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not a good player. I'm not good at poker, right? And yeah, I quickly lost that whole buy-in I had. You know, $300, $500, not a little amount of money, right? But I lose that, and then without even a split second of hesitation, I tell the dealer, you know, that I'm going to come back, right? So I let the dealer know that I'm gonna come back, and yeah, I walk up to the ATM again, take out another. I think I took out like $5,000, and then I sit down again, lose again, and I just repeat that over and over that night. And soon enough, I think I ended up losing like $2,000 or $3,000, right? And I guess that night, I think even if I definitely relapsed that night, then I lost control. But I think I didn't lose enough control to lose all the money I had in my bank account, right? So I actually stopped halfway. So like I only lost half of what I had in my checking account, which I don't understand how I was able to do that, because I usually, when I used to play before that time, I completely empty my balance, right? Empty my account, right? I just always go all the way, right? But I don't know. I think I got scared, right? I think yeah, it's because I could feel my hands, and my hands were start shaking and like trembling, right? I knew I was like going down that path again, and maybe God may have helped, right? But I don't know. I was able to actually stop halfway. I did not lose all my money I had in my checking account, that student loan I took out, right? So that night, I think I ended up losing $2,500 or $3,000, and I still had left like 2,000 or 3,000, right? Again, like if this this doesn't necessarily apply to me, but it applies to like all the gambling addicts. They when you're addicted, you usually you usually end up just spending all your money. So I really don't know what happened that night, but for me to actually just pull back. But anyways, I believe that was the very last time I actually I actually gambled. Since then, I haven't gambled. So, in a way, I think, and it might have been a blessing in disguise, because that was really. I mean, okay, like first of all, I was really distraught, right? I was devastated that I relapsed after having been that bet free for the last 2 years, because I really thought that I was completely recovered, right? I was so disappointed in myself. I mean, it's an understatement. I was so distraught and devastated. Like, how could I have gambled with money that I couldn't lose, right? It was for my school. But anyways, I think in a way, I think it was a blessing in disguise, because since then I have not placed any kind of bet anywhere, right? I've never gambled, right? And I think it was a really good reminder for me that, oh, like this addiction I realize now, it's never gonna go away. It's always going to be there, right, with me. And it's going to try to take control over my life again when I it's going to try to catch me off guard, right? When I feel too comfortable with myself, maybe like believing that, falsely believing that I am recovered from gambling addiction, right? So that night it was really, really shocking that I gambled, but in a way, it was a really good wake-up call for me, because now that night I really came to realization that, okay, like this gambling addiction, I'm gonna have to live with it for the rest of my life. It's never gonna go away. I'm not going to ever again start to delude myself, right, that this addiction has disappeared. I'm not gonna pretend like it's gone, or I'm not gonna pretend like it's not there, right? So that's what happened. So since then, right now, it doesn't never really crosses mind when I'm like, as I'm talking about gambling and playing poker or whatever, it never really crosses mind to want to gamble. I don't have that cravings. I don't have the urge. So then again, I could start telling myself, oh, like my gambling addiction is not there anymore. I'm completely recovered now. But no, I don't think that anymore. I truly believe that any form of addiction is a lifelong journey until you're dead, right? So I feel like this is actually a blessing that it actually happened. I think I really needed that to come to this kind of realization, right?